income to say, oh, well, if you made 50 grand then, it's worth this much now. The numbers still just don't quite seem to align. See, making just 30 grand in the 1980s, you were getting by, you owned a home, you had multiple cars, you could raise an American family, not feeling like you're gonna die. I think by creating this available wealth ratio, which I'm gonna walk you through right now, but I did the math, I think I've proven what we all feel. Okay, so we're gonna look at the American economy like it's a pie, okay? And the way that we define this pie is we're gonna go the M2 money supply, which is all the money that's available in our economy. Stocks, bonds, savings accounts, it's every dollar in circulation. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach this AWR, which is the available wealth ratio. The way I got the available wealth ratio was by taking what the bottom 90% had available to them and dividing it by the M2 money supply. In simpler terms, the available wealth to Americans in 1985 was 35.1%. What does that mean? It means that the bottom 90% of income earners in America had access to 35.1% of the total economy. Because as of 1985, 64.9% of all of the nation's wealth was held in the top 10%'s hands. Don't look at the adjusted PP, but if you look at 35% available wealth ratio in 1985, that means of the $1.7 trillion in our M2 money supply, according to the Federal Reserve, this was your PPP, which is the purchasing power percentage. So in 1985, the median household income was $27,440. Don't lose me. I'm going to bring this back to the pizza in a minute. If I were to take these numbers and add it into my formula, which is going to give me the total available money supply, that's all the total available money to people like you and I, the bottom 90%, and I divide that by the median household income, what I'm going to get is my PPP, my purchasing power percentage, which happens to, in 1985, be 4.64 times 10 to the negative 8th power. In layman's terms, that means if you made the median income in 1985, you made a very, 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 very small percentage of the overall economy. But you still got a slice. And based off all numbers, we can say that slice was enough to get by and have the American dream here in America. So if I were to take those same numbers for all of these years, I got 1995, 99, 2005, 2012, 2018, and today, which 2024 data, the data when it was last available, I can tell you how much you have to make to feel just as powerful financially as someone making the median household income in 1985. You want to know what it is? Yeah, so for perspective, back to the pizza, like I promised. There's $1.7 trillion in the economy in 1985, according to our M2 money supply. Lock that number in tight. Okay. In 2025, it's 21.5 trillion. We don't know through this initial term if we're going to have any money added, quantitative easing. That number could go up, but as of right now, that's the number. That's a large difference. And what's also different is the available wealth. See, back in 1985, 31.1% of the total wealth, this number right here, was available to the bottom 90%. Today, this much larger number that's in our total economy, well, only this percentage is available wealth, the bottom 90%. So if I were to have the same purchasing power percentage as someone in 1985 making a household income of $27,440, with the available wealth at that time being 35% and the M2 money supply being 1.7 trillion, so many numbers. Let me tell you what the number is today. I'm going to tell you this number, and you're going to say, Zach, that's wrong. You're going to think this is too dramatic to be accurate. I've spent 2 hours running these numbers back and forth. I've used 6 different AI platforms to actually verify this math, because when I did it, I assumed I had to be wrong. But I'm not, and it's a great formula, the PPP, the adjusted PPP. The adjusted PP of 2025. If you were making the median household income, which today we have adjusted for inflation, the median household income back in 1985 was $27,440. The median household income today is $79,482. I went through 1989, 1995, 1999, 2005, 2012, 2018, all the way to today. You get the accurate numbers, all from the Census Bureau. You can't argue with these things. So again, median household income back then, $27,440. Today is $79,482. If you wanted to have the same purchase power percentage of the available economy to the bottom 90%, you and I, today you have to make $233,900 because there's only 5 trillion of our 21.6 trillion in our economy available to people like you and I. This is not the size, because this would be about 16 to 15 times bigger, but there is a bigger pie with a smaller percentage, meaning if I wanted to have the same amount of purchasing power as someone in 1985, I have to make a significant amount more, because there is a significantly amount more that is owned by the top 10%. 35% in 1985, and we could see since then it's continued to drop. And this is actually kind of weird. If you look at this in 2018, 77% of the wealth was held in the top 10%'s hand. The Federal Reserve claims in the last 7 years that number's actually gotten better. I call a little bit of BS, but we have to go off the numbers we have available. So to honestly feel like somebody felt then, you'd have to make this now, adjusted for inflation and with the available wealth ratio utilized. Available wealth ratio